Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Ben. Welcome to another Let's Pixel video. In this video, we're going to be doing some more pixel art for the project that I'm working on right now. And I'm going to be doing a slime, and I want to do a boss. So my project right now, the the most interesting action to perform in the project is positioning. And that's the main tool that the player has. So I want to teach this to the player, and I found that it's easiest to see that that's the interesting part of the game when there's a lot of enemies that are chasing after you, because you're forced to kind of guide the enemies to specific places in order to maneuver around them later and be able to prevent yourself from being trapped. And in order to do this, I thought it'd be interesting if the first boss taught this, so I want to do a boss for this slime. We're going to start off with a rather large canvas size, which is 64 by 64. And I thought a slime would be a good boss for this because each time it dies, it can split into smaller slimes. And this will create, at first, you'll just have the one enemy, but then you'll get more and more enemies on the screen, and the player will be forced to, essentially, in order to beat this boss, they'll be forced to learn how to use positioning in order to prevent themselves from getting trapped. That's the idea. I'm going to make this actually a little bit wider. So it's 64. Let's do 80 wide, maybe. We'll see how this goes. The idea with starting with the largest version first is that it's easier to scale that down a few times, and then it's easier to clean up a sprite that is scaled down than a sprite that is scaled up, in my opinion. A sprite that is scaled up is harder to clean up. You've got individual pixels become like 8 pixels, and it's a huge pain to try and clean that up. So I definitely prefer scaling down. That's why we'll start with the larger sprite. Now slimes are classically green, and I don't think I have any green enemies, so it makes sense to go with something like that. So I'm gonna get a larger brush size here, and you know, I can always fix the scaling later. Let's come and draw kind of the base of the slime. This would be a good spot to start with basic shapes. Always good to start with basic shapes if you can. Okay, there's the base. I'm gonna grab this lighter green and do the top part of the slime. Now I wonder, I have an idea here actually to speed this process up just a bit. I'm gonna actually duplicate this. No, let's do shift. No, that does a new layer. Control N. How do you add a new frame? Frame, new frame, Alt N. I tried Shift N and Control N. Okay, so now we've got this new frame. We're going to come back to our basic shapes and draw a big circle that goes this way. I want to start here though. Here. There we go. Close enough. And we'll go like that. Okay. Now I'm going to use the move tool and select out here and delete that. And then the wand tool and copy it, come back to our first frame, and I did it too big. That is very unfortunate. Although it looks like scaling it is going to work for me. I also don't want to lose the the shape in the back there. Hmm. I actually think what I want to do scale this in one. Okay. And then we'll actually copy the other one onto this one. That. Here we go. We'll delete this frame. I was just using it to be able to create this. Okay, so we're looking pretty good here. Now, there's a few things we need to do to try and get this looking better. The first thing I want to do is create some sort of face on the slime. So we're going to grab like this dark blue here and maybe add like some sort of a mouth here. I'll probably end up adjusting this. There we go. Now there's kind of this dripping, oozing mouth. That looks pretty good, actually. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. And then we'll do some eyes too. Now you can see I'm thinking about the perspective of the slime while I'm doing these. Okay, that's looking pretty cool already. It's very basic, but I think it's got some interesting stuff going on. So now what we want to do is this lighter color, we want it to follow the base, around the base here. I'm going to come and place pixels along the base here. I'm going to do them thicker like this with the 2-pixel brush. I'm using Shift to create lines like this. Makes it a little bit easier. There we go. And now we want to have some sort of like shine on it. We can draw some, like a bit of a shiny spot up here. And you can see this is coming together pretty good already. And it's got some depth to it. We might try and decide if we want to make that shine. I don't really like the way that shine looks, so I'm going to try again. Something more like that. Maybe some more over here too. Could have another little spot here. And then maybe a spot down here. Now the other thing is that it might start to lighten at these thin spots as the light kind of shines through them. So we can do that and even add a little bit of this yellow to it as well. And then the other thing that we might consider is that if these have shape, if these are like kind of holes in the slime, we might get some light on the bottom rims here, like this. To give some shape to those eyes, and we could even shade the underside some here. Something like that. Well, I'm pretty happy with this so far. I'm thinking I might need a color. I might need another value here. Like this, I could use this color here and then this color along the inside. I'm just doing this real quick as a test, so I may erase this. I was thinking something like this. I think that makes it a little too dark. I think I'll just leave it the way it was, and we'll get an outline and see how this looks in game. That's going to be a lot of extra work anyways. I do want to add some sort of like soul to the eyes. So maybe we'll get like a little some pupils of some sort. Should be yellow too. I don't remember what the other enemies in my game look like. Let's open up the bat. Here's our bat. It's got very white eyes, so I think we'll stick with that and use similar system. Trying to keep the perspective in mind even with the eyes here. I don't think we should go that bright with those. Oops. Here we go. Okay, now we need to outline it. And I think this makes sense to just do an outline around the outside. I'm going to hit Shift 0 to do an outline. And then I'll want to shade the outline. So this section right here, we'll use this darker green here instead of the dark color. And there is a way to replace stuff. I'm trying to remember. I think if I select this color and this color, oops, like this, and then do shading. Yeah, there we go. Now I can just paint along here to replace that. That. Well, the only complaint that I have about the slime is it does look a little bit uniform, like it's perfectly circle. circular. But I like the expression. I'm gonna have to animate kind of the goopy drippiness of it too. I think that the uniformity bothers me enough that I want to make some adjustments now. Switch off of shading back to simple ink. And I think the first thing that would be a good idea is to bring in some of these edges just a bit to show that the base of the slime is kind of oozing out just a bit. If we bring in from here like that, and then add, well, no, I don't want to do that, I don't think. So we've started by bringing in the base, that's good. Come in from the eye just a bit here. I think that's cool. And I think I actually want to come out right here just a bit. Almost like a skull slime. Interesting. But now we've got a little bit more of an interesting shape to it. It's not quite so uniform. And we could maybe even bring this out some as like a little bit of a trail behind it. And if you do it back here as well, it's going to look like it's kind of oozing, but it's got a little bit of a trail coming out behind. And that could be cool. Kind of like leaving slime along the ground as it moves. We'll need to move the whole thing over to give us some room for our outline here, although it looks like we might have to increase the canvas size. We're going to grab C, drag this over one, and then we can come in and re-add our outline back in. The other color, here we go. I'll right click so I can use it. And we've got to manually outline it. It is what it is. It's not too bad if you use the line tool. You can get I'm gonna say no on that one there. Okay. Trying to clean up my arcs a little bit so they look nice. This might be massive. If this is too big, then I'll have to scale it down and that's gonna be some work. But that's cool. I might get some like shine spots on here. Because these, or like here to show the shape. This one didn't work. It's not working for me when I look in the preview. These do. They seem to work right. Trying to find some good spots for it. Gonna have to be good enough. I could see a little bit of a shine here for the eyebrow, but I think it might be getting a little too much now. So we're gonna back off. Call this good. I'm pretty happy with this. Definitely is less uniform now. And I'm going to save it. We'll come into my project. We'll come into enemies. We'll save it in here as large slime. Huge slime. It's going to be huge slime. Okay. Now we'll come into the project and into the world here. Just a second. And then we'll drop the slime into the game to see. Oh, that looks great. I am very happy. Well, we've got it going into the wall a little bit there. Okay, yeah, I approve. That looks really cool. Like really cool. The depth's not quite right, but yeah. That's about the perfect size that I want it. And then it will split into smaller and smaller pieces. I'm not going to just scale them. I'm going to draw each one as well. But I'm going to animate this one first and kind of get a feel. Hopefully I can just do a few animations, have it move at the player. And yeah, I actually am really happy with how this looks in relation to the rest of the game. I think it looks really good. So that's going to be it for this Let's Pixel. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all later.